Hey, everyone. This is your host, Mae Renfroe, and just welcome back to another episode of Mighty Monday. And I hope you've had a really good week and a good Monday. And so, as always, I have um, an amazing guest on. And this evening, I'm honored to have Ruth Hephzibah on with me this evening. And to talk with us about her journey of in loss and grief and how she's helping others. Ruth is a renowned Fresh Start coach, mental health expert, author, and speaker. She's the author of her book, A Pen That Rewrites Grief, and the host of her podcast, Grief to Grace, which I got to be a guest on a while back and just share my story and stuff on there. And now Ruth is work is deeply informed by her personal experience of overcoming profound loss, and that's how that from where she helps others now. So we're going to be talking about. So just big welcome, Ruth, and thank you so much for joining me here tonight.
Hi, thank you so much for having me tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited about what we get to talk about here, and even though it can be a hard thing, loss and grief is not nice. But
Yeah,
what's amazing is that God has given healing, right,
yeah, that's
for
it.
you, and now and now he's given you kind of this avenue, or I would say, or an opportunity to be able to help others with that. So that's really that part is nice. And so, I'm excited what I have to share with us. If you want to introduce yourself a bit more, share, uh, anything else that you would want the audience to kind of know before you start, take us into your story and like where you're at today and what you're doing.
Okay, thank you so much. And thank you to your amazing audience. I just want to say you're welcome. And most times I always like to ask, how are you today? How are you? Has it been? They've been and all of that. Because sometimes we just feel that everyone is fine, but they are really not fine.
Mm-hmm.
But when we ask, how are you? I think we need to go further. Are you truly fine? Are you truly okay? So tonight, I just want to
Mm-hmm.
say, how are you? Are you really good? Are you fine? Are you struggling with something right now? Because whatever you're going through, there is surely an end. And I think that's what I want to really talk about today. That surely there is an end, and that end is today. So, whatever you're going through, there is an end. Know that God has a plan and a purpose for your life. And I am not just saying this because I want to say it, I'm saying this because I am a living testimony to what God is doing. A few days ago, I'll start with that. My kids looked at me and they're like, Mom, have you looked at your photos lately? Have you scrolled back from 2021, 2020, 21 down to this date and see how much you've changed, how good you're looking, and how much you've changed, and how well you've been able to. We are so proud of you, how well you've been able to move on. And I just want to say, it's not by my making, it is by the making of Almighty. It is by the making of God. So, and when God says it's from grief to grace, it means it's from grief to grace. So my name is Ruth Hephzibah. I am the founder of Grief to Grace, and I also am the founder of Echoes of Life. And on Grief to Grace, we help people who are grieving. It's a grieving community where we help you move from grief, just as the name implies, to grace. So we help you move from being
Mm-hmm.
stuck
Mm-hmm.
to being unstuck. We help you move and begin to find pain and purpose in your pain, irrespective of where you are in your journey. Then Echoes of Life is a platform where a community where we handle rare cancer cases and kidney cancer cases. So we help especially with the caregivers and the families and those the patients who are going through grief at that particular time, or whatever cancer cases they have at that particular time. Because it is kind of hard. If you don't understand, if you've never been through it, you may not understand how difficult and how bad it is. I tell people that grief is not bad after all, but before now, I never knew that grief wasn't bad after all. I always believed that grief was
Mm.
a bad thing. Grief was bad. In fact, we need to trash it. We need to do something about it. But
Mhm.
today I have a different story. Why? Because God's grace abounds.
Mm. Mm.
There were times in my life when I didn't know how to navigate grief. There were times in my life when
Mm.
I didn't know how to go about what I'm going through. There were times in my life when I lost it all and I felt that the whole world was going to crush on me. And today I can say I am a living testimony of what God is doing in the life of people. So, why am I saying all this? I just wanted to know,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm really talking about surely there is an end, and that end is today. So, it needs to come from you personally. You need to take a decision and know if truly you really want a change, you really want an end in your life. Okay, my whole story and my journey is characterized by profound grief. I happen
Mhm.
to be um, married to a very loving husband, someone who was so good. So he was the breadwinner of the family. He took charge of his home. He was a loving father. He was a loving husband. And grief came up. What happened? He had cancer and we didn't know how to
Mm.
navigate it. He came
Mhm.
over and we've already had like bucket list of what we were going to do for the Chris the Christmas holidays and our anniversary, which was
Mhm.
our 12th
Mhm.
anniversary, and he was like, "Oh, we're going to have like a whole 2 months of fun." And we were so excited, waiting for this day. And he came in and he's like, "Oh, I have pains in my stomach. Okay, let's go to the hospital. Let's see the PCP." And we were told I had no juice and we needed to go straight to
Mhm.
the hospital. Getting to the hospital, what happened? They said he
Mhm.
had few days to live. Whoa, how are we going to start? Where are we going to start from? Where do we move
Oh,
from? And I was just a mother of
wow.
4 boys and a baby, 3 boys and a baby. And I didn't know what to do. And I tell you, because I was grieving, they couldn't even figure out how to navigate this journey. And we battled that
Yeah.
journey all the way. And in a span of 5 months, he passed. It was like my whole life crashed. It was like I needed to end it all. And I tell you, I've shared that testimony in some other podcast. I died. I can remember vividly that day. I refused to accept the situation, and I said, "No, I need to go.
Wow.
You need to wake up and join me because I don't know how we're going to go." And I remember that very
Yeah.
morning. It was early hours of the morning, like about 3 a.m. And I went into like a trance and I saw him and he said, "No, I'm not coming back." I said, "Okay, then I must go with you." It's okay. If you want to come, hold my hand. Immediately I held his hand. There was a demarcation and he was thrown to the brighter side and I was on the other side. And I'm like, whoa, I need to get back to my body because now I'm no longer with him. I didn't make heaven because I died in grief. And I kept on crying for mercy. And I found myself back to this world. And immediately that happened, I knew that truly, there's actually what we call afterlife. And I've always been that woman, though I've always been a minister of God, but I really didn't have full understanding of what heaven actually meant. I didn't
Okay.
have understanding of, oh, this is what heaven is. I know he loved heaven and he used to say, "Oh,
Mhm.
I just want to go to heaven." I'm always like, yes, we will go to heaven, but let us enjoy our lives here. What if all this heaven thing is a mirage? But I tell you, when he was passing and he was
Mhm.
always saying, "Oh, I see where I'm going. Can't you see the angels?" I didn't understand. But today I understand that truly there is heaven and you can actually make heaven if you have the mercy of God. So when you live righteously and you seek mercy and you die well in grace, then
Mhm.
you can actually attain heaven. And that was it. So when my whole journey started of grief after he passed, I never knew I was grieving before he passed, but when he passed, we were grieving really bad. I can remember vividly that morning I took my Bible and I was about to pray, and some voice came in and said, "You still reading this Bible? Is it not the same prayer you prayed and God never heard you?" And I closed that Bible and dropped
Mhm.
it. It was his Bible, packed everything, and I think I trashed them. That was how much grief I had in me. But God saw beyond me. God looked beyond all that and decided to use me as an instrument of his worship. So God took me through all of this journey so that I'll be able to understand the efficacy in his power. It was really
Mhm.
tough. It was tough struggling with my faith, struggling with everything, the faith of my kids, because we didn't just lose one. I lost my husband. I lost my mother in law the same day. I lost my father in law the same year on my husband's
Mhm.
birthday, which is December 5th, which is coming up now. Just a number of them.
Oh.
And they kept on,
Mhm. Yeah.
yeah, they just kept on coming like that, like death, back to back death, and for
Yeah.
friends,
Yeah.
family. I'm like, gosh, can this really end? And it got to the stage that
Yeah.
my kids believe that God doesn't heal, and they believe that God cannot heal. But I needed to sit up as a mom,
Mhm.
and I can remember I had to pray so well, and I told God, you have to teach these children personally. And it took the grace of
Yeah.
God to be able to get them to understand that truly God is God. And God, when God started doing his miracles mostly in their lives personally, and they started experiencing God personally, then they started understanding that truly there is God. So to the extent that when they go to school and they need to
Mhm.
write an examination, they have to pray because they believe that the God that answers my mom truly will be able to answer me. So I don't know where you are in your journey, but what I know is that I know that there is a
Oh.
God that is here to put an end to whatever journey you are in. And I remember vividly that day, God spoke to me and said, set up the nonprofit, which was the Echoes of Life, and which I did. And I started off with the journey of the Echoes of Life. And we started helping a lot of people, cancer, that had cancer and grief. And this year, God gave me a different path. And He said, grief, that was one way, something like this, just like exactly a year now. And He said, grief, grace, grace. I didn't understand
Mhm.
what He meant by grace, grace. And I'm like, grace, grace. What's grace, grace? You know, I kept on digging deep to understand what grace, grace, double portion of grace, grace, grace. And it became clearer this year, and we started grief to grace. And I tell you, it has brought total healing and understanding to me. And I truly understand when you say you can have grace in your grief. I understand truly what it means. And God was able to move me from that journey of grief to this stage which I am right now. And within this journey, I was able to write my book. I have
Mhm.
3 other books that are to be published this week. I have I have 9 singles to my credit. I got I'm a mental health specialist. I'm a seasoned
Oh.
speaker, sought for everywhere. People want you to talk to them about what you do and how to have a fresh start. So it's just been God all the way. And I look back in my journey and I'm
Mhm.
like, God, thank you. If not for this that happened, I'm not sure I would have discovered myself. And that is what I'm going to get into right now. How do you get out of the grief that you are experiencing? My model is very simple. It's really simple.
Mhm.
It's something that anybody can use. You can try it out at any time. Okay? How? It's simple. Just 3 B's. That's all that it takes. One is that you should accept it, accept the situation, forgiveness, accept it, forgive whatever the situation is. When that situation comes into play, what do? Don't beat around the bush thinking it is not or it is. Oh, it's not happening to me. No, I will never accept it. No, accept the situation. Are you divorced? Did you just lose your job? Did you lose something? Are you losing yourself? I lost myself in grief. What is that thing that is happening to you right now? What is that life that is happening right now in your life? Don't worry. There is a God that listens. So the first thing is to accept your situation. Say, yes, I have come to this. This has happened. What you cannot change, don't bother to dwell on them. Accept it and place it in the hands of God and say, God, if you allowed it to happen, then I know you have a reason for it. It is difficult, I know, to say, yes, there's a reason for it. I remember then when people say, oh, God has a reason, I feel like yelling at them, you know. But I tell you, God truly has a reason for everything. So just accept that situation and say, God, thank you. Give him thanks in that situation. Then that takes us to then forgiveness is key in that journey. We in the first part of it. You forgive the situation, forgive the person, forgive the situation. I had to forgive my late husband for passing. I had to forgive all those people that offended me in the journey. Because when you are grieving, a lot of people want to take advantage of your journey. So if you're not careful, you become so vulnerable to people all around you. And you become,
accept that.
yeah, it brings another chapter of grief in your life. So
Yeah.
forgive them.
Yeah.
Forgive them in that journey. Forgive them. Everyone that has offended you, everyone that has taken advantage of your situation,
That's what I've done.
forgive them. Then forgive yourself. Because if you don't forgive yourself, you will continue to grieve. Forgive yourself in whatever way that you can.
Yeah.
Forgive yourself in whatever way that you have allowed yourself to be vulnerable. Forgive yourself. Forgive everything that needs to be forgiven. The true path to healing is forgiveness. If you want to be healed from cancer, you want to be healed from diabetes, you want to be healed from any of those things, try it out. Try acceptance and forgiveness. You will be so shocked what can become of you. Then it takes us to the next B, which is be you. Best experiences that you originally undermined. So be you. Discover yourself. Discover your true identity. Discover who you are, who you were before the situation. Discover, in my own case, I had to go back to the drawing board. Who is Ruth before she met Emmanuel? Who was Ruth? And I had to define who Ruth was. And I had to define who Ruth became in the journey. And I had to define who Ruth was then, presently. And I now took a decision. Which of these Ruth do I want to be? So I had to discover my true identity. So you need to discover your true identity. You need to understand that, yes, this is me. Nobody is worthless. Nobody is a failure. Nobody needs to lean on the other person to be able to get to the where they need to go. So when you discover who you are, the best experiences, using your best experiences that you've undermined all these years, I tell you, you will be able to realize the journey where you're going to. So, who is Ruth? Who are you? What is your identity? What form are you made of? What do God call you? Forget what the world is calling you. Forget what the
Mhm.
world think about you. Forget the situation that you are in at this time. But just realize that yes, I need to move. This is me. I am Ruth Hephzibah. And within that journey, God gave me this name Hephzibah. I said, I take delight in you. And it became a journey for me. So if God takes delight in me, then I need to understand myself and take pride in myself. You know, you need to now
Mm.
know who you are and begin
Yeah.
to move in that
Yeah.
identity.
Yeah.
That's it. Because if you don't discover who you
Yeah.
are, then you will not be able to move in the journey. So when
Yeah.
we're talking about being you, it means that you need to take charge of your
Yeah.
identity. You need to set certain goals, achievable goals for yourself. When we're talking about goals, it is difficult most times for people to rise up from their bed when they are grieving. It is
Yeah.
difficult for you to even eat food sometimes. And for some
Mhm.
people like me, I have eating disorder when I'm grieving. When you see me eating so much, know that I'm bothered. There's something I'm grieving at that particular time. So we are different. So you have this. So you
Mhm.
need to understand. Okay, this is where I am. This is what I am capable of doing, and I need to be set these goals, achievable goals. If I've been lying down on my bed all day scrolling through my social media pages, Facebook,
Mhm.
Instagram,
Mhm.
everything, then I
Yeah.
need to now take charge and take one step, one day at a time. Oh, maybe the first step is to be
Yeah.
able to leave the bed. There were times in my
Yeah.
house when we were grieving that I think for 2 months we didn't cross to the living room. No, we come in through the garage,
Wow.
we walk to the kitchen, we come back. In fact, we had everything we needed in the garage. So and the pantry, we had to set up a pantry in the garage. We just cross through the garage, we do whatever, eat some snacks, other food, and other stuff, and we go straight to the room. We come out. We didn't cross with like we did. So then one day
Yeah.
I took a stand. Oh, I needed to cross over. And I was able to take that one step, the step of
Yeah.
cooking. And I can remember the first day I cooked for my family. I'm like, whoa, that was a great leap for me, you know. Then there were times,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
it's just
A big accomplishment.
a
That was
very big
a big thing.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
there are times I can remember when I could sleep all night for the first time. That was a big accomplishment too. Oh,
Yeah.
they
Oh, yeah. To be able to not be awake
not
thinking
being
of these
awake, just
missing and
not most times I'm not even
oh
thinking,
man.
but I'm just dazing. I'm
Yeah.
scrolling through the social media platforms. I'm talking with
Yeah.
people online. I'm doing just to keep myself busy. You know, I'm just
Yeah.
doing things that when others are sleeping, I am busy doing that. So when I could sleep all night, that was a very great achievement. So it's just when I mean take
Ah,
those little
yeah.
steps, I mean as tiny as those steps are, take
Yeah.
them. It can be, I don't know
Yeah.
what your own step is, but just take them. I'm not saying go write a book. I'm not saying go start up a business. When we're talking about having a fresh start, we mean that because this is where the fresh start is. When you are able to
Yeah.
discover you, then you are now taking a fresh start in your life. You are now able to now
Yeah.
do little things, one day at a time, 1 second at a time, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Don't clump them up. There were times in my days of grief that I had so many things just working and none of them was working. Oh, I can do this. I can
Yeah.
do this. I can do this. I just wanted to, because I was trying to help myself just to pass through this grief in my own way,
Mhm.
you know. And but
Mhm.
I became like a jack of all trades and a master of none. I tried my
Mm.
hands in so many things, and I was almost like a failure. And I'm like, whoa, this is another level of grief for me because I'm failing in
Mhm.
everything that I'm putting my hands in. And I had to go back to my drawing board, which is my God. And I'm like, God, if you sent me, then you will lead me. And the leading came. So in your journey, you need God. In your journey, you need to hold on to Him. In your journey, you need to let the world know that yes, it has happened, but God has a reason for it. It has happened. There is a purpose in this pain. See, there is no pain without a purpose. If there is this saying that if the world gives you lemon, what do you do with it? I will make lemon cake. I love lemon cake. Some people will make
Mhm.
lemonade. Some people will do other stuff with it. So you decide what you want to do with your lemon, right? So you decide what you want to do with your grief in your BU
Amen.
section. So in that season of your being
Yeah.
you, decide who you want to be. Decide what you want to be. If the
Yeah.
world, you lost your job, and rather
Yeah.
than groaning in that grief and saying, yes, I lost my job, I don't know what to do, I lost my job, and you screaming, you scrolling around, crying and lying on your bed, not being able to taking all the substances and going to all the clubs or whatever you're doing right now. No, you don't need to do that. What do? You do something better. Make that
Mhm.
that thing that happened to you. Find a way to do
Mhm.
something that will be
Mhm.
better than that position you left. So, for instance, I'm a software engineer, for
Mhm.
instance, I'm a software engineer. When my husband passed, I was in
Mhm.
school and I dropped out. And I'm like, no, I cannot continue. My GPA dropped from
Mhm.
4 point to 1 point. I'm telling you, and the next
Mhm.
minute, when I discovered who I was, I graduated, and I graduated with honors that year. So
Mhm.
you can determine who you want to be. And I'm so proud and
Mhm.
so glad that I actually took that feat and I was able to do it. And I did
Mhm.
it. So imagine if I didn't continue, that would have been a loss on my part, right?
Mhm.
So what the
Mhm.
world wanted me to do was not to graduate. What his death brought
Mhm.
to me was for me to drop out of school. But I got my software, my certifications right there. And
Mhm.
I did not just stop there. I made sure I became AWS certified and got all of my certifications that I needed at that time. That is it. You can make lemonade, and
Mhm.
all of it from one lemon. So
Mhm.
don't stay
Mhm.
in one place. If you lost
Mhm.
your job as a manager, then go for it. Look, do some
Mhm.
certifications that can make you a director somewhere. Or maybe God is talking to you that you're not supposed to work for somebody. You need to set up your own business. Then go take
Mhm.
that business course and begin
Mhm.
to start your own business and be your own CEO. So there are just so much. If you lost one
Mhm.
marriage, maybe from separation or divorce or something, maybe God is saying, don't worry, there's something better. Maybe that relationship you were in didn't value you as much as you needed to be valued. Don't dwell in
Mhm.
it. Go make
Mhm.
yourself better. If maybe it's because of
Mhm.
your looks that your husband decided to leave you or you had differences, then go take good care of your looks. Have good self-care and go when you finish with who you are, don't dwell in that, become better. I was talking with someone the other day. He said, oh, my boyfriend left me because I'm not he said I'm not as good as his other girlfriend. And I said, and you want to go back to your boyfriend? No, You crying now that you want to go back. No, you go develop yourself. Are you a graduate? Did you go to school? Do you have any college degree? He said, no. I said, then the first step is to go get yourself a college degree. Then get yourself busy and he will come looking for you because by the time he comes back, you are bigger than the level that he left you. And he may not even be your choice at that time. So there are just so much that you can do. Yes,
Mhm.
that's the truth. Because now you're
Mhm.
going for him because that is your level right now. But there is a stage you will get to that guy, that man will no longer be that. You'll be asking, what did I really see in him? What did I see
Mhm.
in that woman? You know, if for instance, because sometimes we just make some wrong choices on our own and we dwell on them, and God is saying, no, maybe you are tangled in drugs, you're tangled in substances, you are tangled in wrong relationships, and God is saying, no, you are my daughter. I want you. Why don't you ask the Holy Spirit to help you in the journey and guide you and direct you on what next should I do, rather than sit there dwelling and thinking of how you're going to retaliate, how you're going to cause havoc, how you're
Mhm.
going to do something. No, I'm telling you, God is speaking
No,
to
'cause
you right now.
that doesn't
It
help.
doesn't help. Rather, I believe so much in
No.
self care. I believe in taking better care of yourself. Do your meditations,
Mhm.
read your Bibles, and take good care of
Mhm.
yourself. Make sure you are a better version every day of your life. People see me and they're like,
Mhm.
oh, you don't look like what you've been through. I don't look like what I've been through because
Oh, that's neat.
I
Yeah.
am what I have.
Yeah. Then you
Yes,
earlier. I'm sorry.
yes, I am what I have
Yeah.
been through. I am. So it's
Yeah.
not what I have
But you're
been.
stronger. You came out stronger
That's it.
than that. And I think earlier you mentioned your children had showing you some pictures that they're like, look at the difference or something.
That's it.
Yeah. So in those early years after your loss and grief and having lost so many family members, you had quite little children. Wow. So that and then you went on to finish your schooling and all these certificate stuff you said you got. Wow, that was a lot to keep up with your growing
That's
children
it.
and everything.
That's it. So
Yeah.
you just need to develop yourself.
Wow. So you
That's the be you. And the
mhm,
next is sharing your story, making yourself a change agent. Let your life now begin to tell the story to the world. You know, sometimes you are the Bible that other people need to read to become Christians. You are
mhm,
that person that
mhm,
when they see you and see the work of God in your life, then they don't need any other person to preach to them. What do they need? They just need to
mhm,
see you and say, whoa, if the God that did it for Ruth can do my own too. So that is it. So that's
mhm,
my own testimony, and that's what
mhm.
I
Yeah.
tell people
That's a
every
beautiful.
day. And Amma, it's been a
Yeah.
very beautiful journey all the way. So right now, what I do
Yeah.
is I help people. I help them to have a fresh start. So you can
Yeah.
have a fresh start, and healing begins with you. In whatever way you feel you're stuck in your journey, you can reach out, and definitely will be able to develop whatever plan that can help you in your fresh start. Everybody's journey is different, so
Yeah.
your journey is totally different from mine. And also, you can get my book, A Pen That Will Write Grief, from Amazon or on our website, which is grief to grace
Yeah.
international.org. And it is a 60-day guide that can help you in your journey. So every day has its
Okay.
own interventions, every day has its own tools. So there are also days you don't want to wake up, you don't want to stand up. We understand. Just do all
Yeah.
of those stuff and follow through with all that God is speaking to you on your journey. And I tell you, you will be fine. You will be fine.
Uh,
Thank you.
yeah. The had very hard when you're in it at the beginning. It
That's
probably
it.
didn't feel that way for you either. You probably weren't able to really see like that there was going to be those better days, that you would have joy again, that life, was going to be good. You couldn't probably picture yourself saying what you're saying now back then, but but with
But
God,
just
right?
God.
Him and what He's done in your life. Yeah. And how many years ago was this when you lost? Well, your husband and then your mother-in-law and your father-in-law in the 1 year. What year was this?
That was 2021 during the
Oh,
COVID,
okay.
when COVID was just ending. So it
Oh,
was really
oh
tough
wow.
because we didn't have help.
Yeah,
We didn't have
yeah.
help. It was difficult to see him. It was
Oh,
difficult to stay with, to really share those love
yeah,
in his last days.
yeah,
It was just so much. And even when he passed,
yeah,
there were no resources anywhere because of COVID.
yeah.
So it was really tough for
Oh
the
wow.
family. Yeah,
Oh, that would be really hard. And
it was.
that's still fairly recent. Yeah. Yeah, not that many years ago. We had lost our son in 2017, a 14-year-old
Yeah.
son, and then my dad the following year, and a brother. Yeah, I shared on your podcast that,
Yes, you did.
um, yeah, yours and have a way of healing with God. But yeah, that's still reason you've gone through a lot. And it's neat. You've done a lot since that time, and how you've been helping others, and um, that's really beautiful to see. I like that. So I just thank you so much for what you shared on here, and I'll have your links and stuff in the description of this so they can find that, find your book and find you. And so you're a coach, fresh start coach, and then and a speaker.
Yes.
So you want people that event planners that would like you to come share it at your
Yes,
events.
definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah. In
that sounds good.
conferences and workshops in churches, I also sing. I do more serenade worship for people
Okay,
just to
I've
help.
seen that on
Yeah.
your bio here. You do sing.
Yeah,
Cool.
and that was one of the things God gave to
Oh,
me
that's
in
neat.
grief because I developed it
Yeah,
more
yeah,
when my husband passed. And
yeah.
I've been singing
Oh,
all my life, but I never knew I could actually sing for people
yeah,
to hear and use it for ministration, you know, for
yeah.
other people to give their life to Christ. And I tell you, it has been so awesome an experience knowing that I can actually sing and people give their lives and healings take
Mhm.
place in their lives. So if God could do it
That's
for me,
amazing.
He can do it for you. So grief is
Hmm.
not bad after all, because I've mentioned a lot of stuff I've been able to gain in my grieving period. And
Yeah.
because I never allowed myself to be stuck in grief, God saw me through. So you too can be healed in grief.
Yes, I totally agree. That's great. Well, you've gave our my audience a lot to hold on to and to hope. Like, yeah, what God did for you for Ruth, He can do that for us. And I know that's
I believe.
yeah. People have taken it and be blessed and encouraged. So just thank you so much for joining me tonight here live on
Thank
my Mighty
you.
Monday show. And yeah, thank you so much. And so I hope everyone else has a great week. And I'll be releasing one of my videos on Thursday here. And so stay tuned for that. And be back next Monday for another Monday Live. So,
Thank
all right,
you.
Ruth, take care. Thanks
Thank
again.
you
Thank you
for
for everything
having
you're
me.
doing.
Thank
And
you.
hey, see you.
Bye.